Hi, hello everybody, morning. Hello. Hi, if you don't know me, my name's Matt. I'm one of the leaders here at King's Church. Can I just ask a favor, please? Don't see this section here as a sermon, okay? It's going to be a bit different from normal because it's the holidays, because we have the kids in with us. So a sermon implies that it's like someone at the front speaking and you all sit and receive the talk and receive the message from your seats. But that's not how it's going to be this morning. They're going to have it a bit different. I know what I was trying to think what to call it. I don't really think message, but it's going to be interactive, okay? So be on the edge of your seats. Be ready, because I'm going to need a bit of help. Kids, I'm going to need a bit of help from you too. If there are any other kids and want to sit at the front here on this rug, they'll be, do you want to? Yeah, come on, Amy, it's fine. There's some colors as well. There's going to be an activity in a bit soon. I'm going to need your help to be on your toes. If you're here and you are new to church or new to King's Church, or maybe you're not really a believer, or maybe you're kind of a Christian, but you don't come to church very often, then welcome. It's great to have you. The theme this morning is going to be Palm Sunday, because that's the day. It's the last Easter before Easter Sunday. It's Palm Sunday, so we're going to look at the story of Palm Sunday. And if you don't know it very well or know the kind of headline bits, then don't worry. We're going to go through it and try and make it and try and tell the story as easily to understand as possible. And if you have been a Christian for 80 years or thereabouts all your life, and you think, Palm Sunday, I know that, I've heard it loads of times already, then please keep listening, because I'm going to be tackling in this section here two, I think, quite common misconceptions about this story. Okay, so I'm not going to call it out. I'm not going to say this is it here. You're going to have to keep listening, please. Don't fall asleep. Be on your toes, and hopefully we'll all leave here having learned something, having enjoyed some more about God together as a family. Great. Okay, so today is Palm Sunday. That is, I believe, Andrew Lloyd Webber made an accurate representation of the Palm Sunday crowd. It is the day where Jesus rode victoriously on a donkey into Jerusalem, and he was surrounded by Israelites. He was surrounded by native people, and they went crazy, and they sung Hosanna, and they were really excited because of what this meant. That might sound strange to some of you. Why would riding on a donkey be a big deal? Well, first, to understand why the crowd went bananas over Jesus coming into Jerusalem, we have to play a little bit of Bible jigsaw, or Old Testament jigsaw. Okay, so the Old Testament, the half of the Bible before Jesus came, was full to the brim. Pretty much all of it, in some way or another, points to Jesus. Okay, there are some prophecies about him. There are characters who typify or who kind of point to Jesus through their actions. There are songs about him. And for us to understand little parts, it can be a bit like putting pieces of a jigsaw together. Different prophecies, different words, different stories together to get the whole picture. Okay, so what I've done this morning, my kids and I, we have stuck under plenty of chairs here some jigsaw pieces. Okay, we have some physical jigsaw pieces, blue tack to your chair, and we have some Old Testament prophecies, metaphorical jigsaw pieces. So if you get one, please have a look at the chairs nearby as well, because we're low on numbers this morning. Yep, have a look. Now, if you get a Bible verse, please hold on to it. If you get a picture, then kids, can you bring them to the front here? And you're going to need to make the jigsaw, okay? So let's let chaos ensue for a little bit. Like I said, if you get a word, please hold on to it for now. If it's a Bible verse, keep hold of it. If it's a picture, then bring it to the front. And kids, if you want to start trying to assemble the picture out of the jigsaw pieces, but I mean, I didn't count how many pieces there are, so this might be a disaster. There were 4. Oh, Samantha says there are 14, and we don't have 14 yet. So kids, keep hunting around. And while the kids are assembling the picture, the literal jigsaw, us grown-ups, we're going to assemble the biblical metaphorical jigsaw. How does that sound? So we're going to look at some Old Testament prophecies to try and understand why the crowd was so crazy about Jesus riding on a donkey. If you found a Bible verse, I'm going to ask you to read it out. If you don't want to read it out, that's okay. Pass it. Quickly find someone nearby who will. Okay, first jigsaw piece is Genesis 49, verses 9 to 11. Who has Genesis? No one's found Genesis 49? No? Oh, nice try. That's okay, I'll read it then. That's fine. So listen up. Genesis 4, I have to get the page. Genesis 49, the kingdom of Israel had just begun with 12 tribes, and God gave a prophetic word to one of the leaders of the tribe, one of the sons called Judah. In Genesis, this is right at the start of the Bible, he says this: "The scepter will not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from his descendants, until the coming of the one whom it belongs, the one whom all nations will honor. He ties his foal to a grapevine, the colt of his donkey to a choice vine." What does that mean? Well, God is promising that one of the descendants of Judah will be honored by all nations. There's a little hint. And there's a little mention of a donkey as well, thrown there, like an Easter egg at Easter time. Then, several hundred years later, we fast forward to one of Judah's descendants who became king of Israel, a man called David. You might know him as the same David from the story of David and Goliath. He's older now. He's a king, and God gives him another prophetic word from 2 Samuel chapter 7, verses 11 to 13. Does anyone have that one? Andrew's got it. Okay, Andrew.
Furthermore, the Lord declares that he will make a house for you, a dynasty of kings. For when you die and are buried with your ancestors, I will raise up one of your descendants, your own offspring, and I will make his kingdom strong. He is the one who will build a house, a temple for my name, and I will secure his royal throne forever.
Thank you, Andrew. So a little bit more specificity. I don't know the word. It's a bit more specific. Not just one of Judah's descendants, but one of David's descendants will have a forever throne. Will be a king of all the nations for God's name. Okay? The prophecies are getting further. When I say David, by the way, what animal comes to mind? Do any of you think of would any of you, I don't know, if I said Roger, what animal would you think of? Any answers? What? I want to hear what Cheryl said. What? Oh, lion for David, not for Roger. Yeah, sometimes you think of animals when you think of people. I don't know why. David, you think lion, Cheryl? Any other for David animals that would come to your mind? A donkey. Oh, Michael. I didn't expect you to say the right answer. Anyone to say the right answer, so thank you. No, the donkey, if you were an Israelite, you would associate David with a donkey because if you read through the books of the Bible that are about David's life, 1st and 2nd Samuel, donkeys pop up next to kings all the way through. All the kings have in some reference to being close to a donkey. And David and David's sons, actually several of his sons, ride donkeys as royal moments. Hey, in our culture, we don't think of donkeys as very royal animals. I remember if you remember from a couple of years ago, Patrick actually did a whole preach about donkeys, and he pointed out how in our culture we think of them often as a bit clumsy, a bit stupid. But for the Israelites and in the Bible, culturally, donkeys were royal beasts. They were royal animals. And to ride on a donkey was to be exalted like a king or a rich ruler. Okay, so we need to play a bit of readjusting in our brains with that one. David's son, Solomon, the next king, rides on a donkey, as we read in 1 Kings 1, verse 33. No one has 1 Kings. Oh, it's at the front here. Kids, does one of you want to read Imi? 1 Kings 1:33.
The king said to them, "Take Solomon and my officials down to Gion." Is that
Doesn't matter.
Gion Spring? Solomon is to ride on my own mule.
David is giving his... Oh, thank you, Imi. David is giving his own royal donkey to his son. He's passing on the baton, if you like, or the mule for his son to ride royally into Jerusalem. There's certain connotations that are going on through these jigsaw pieces. But then there's one more kind of tying of the bow, if you like, the knot on the biblical jigsaw. By the way, so I put more Bible verses out than I'm reading from. If you're getting confused why I might have missed yours, cut for time. The big one, though, the important one, Zechariah 9, chapter 9, verse 9. Great. Do you want to read that, please?
Rejoice, O people of Zion, shout in triumph, O people of Jerusalem. Look, your king is coming to you. He is righteous and victorious, yet he is humble, riding on a donkey's colt.
Thank you. Yeah. This is the verse that is quoted when Matthew writes his gospel account of Palm Sunday. Your king is coming to you, righteous and riding on a donkey. So we humble, yet riding on a donkey. We read that today, and we hear humble riding on a donkey, when I read that at face value, think that he's humble because he's riding on a donkey. It's more humble to ride on a donkey than if he wanted to be exalted, he'd be like on a white steed or a big horse. But what Zechariah meant by this prophecy was that he's humble and he's riding on a donkey. Not because, riding on a donkey, that's the exalted part. That's the audacious, making a claim that you are the king part. But at the same time as that, he is humble. Humble and exalted. So that's the backstory. Shall we read the gospel account of Palm Sunday? I'm going to read from Matthew 21, but Palm Sunday, this story is in all 4 Gospels, okay? The Gospels are the 4 books of the Bible that describe Jesus' life. And for an event to be in all of them, I think means it's pretty important, and it's a big deal. So, Jesus' triumphant entry. As Jesus and the disciples approached Jerusalem, they came to the town of Bethphage on the Mount of Olives. I really like the sound of a mountain of olives. I love olives. Jesus, and we have some pictures for the story as well. Kids, if you want, there's some pictures at the front of Lego for you. Jesus said to 2 of them, "Go on into the village over there. As soon as you enter it, you will see a donkey tied there, with its colt beside it. Untie them and bring them to me. If anyone asks what you are doing, just say, 'The Lord needs them,' and he will immediately let you take them." I always thought that was a bit strange, that Jesus is essentially telling his disciples to nick a donkey. But I think that line about he will immediately let him take them. Jesus knows that the owner of this donkey is on the same page. he has the wisdom to know that this is going to be okay. This took place to fulfill the prophecy, Zechariah 9, verse 9. "Tell the people of Jerusalem, look, your king is coming to you. He is humble and riding on a donkey's colt." The 2 disciples did as Jesus commanded. They brought the donkey and the colt to him and threw their garments over the colt, and he sat on it. Then untying the colt. Most of the crowd spread their garments on the road ahead of him, and others cut branches from the trees and spread them on the road. Jesus was in the center of the procession, and the people all around him were shouting, "Praise God for the Son of David! Blessings on the one who comes in the name of the Lord. Praise God in the highest heaven. The entire city of Jerusalem was in an uproar as he entered. Who is this? They asked. And the crowds replied, it's Jesus. It's the prophet from Nazareth in Galilee. Jesus knew exactly what he was doing by riding on the donkey. He was showing the crowd that he was arriving to fulfill the prophecies, the jigsaw pieces that they knew of. By choosing a donkey to ride on, he's announcing to Israel that he is their long-awaited king. The crowd and his disciples will have already been excited about him. I mean, he's just raised a guy from the dead and healed all kinds of illnesses and preached amazing things and great lessons and parables. They all have already been excited about Jesus. So can you imagine the news, the wonderful news of what Jesus was saying by doing this act? I like to imagine like the inhabitants of Jerusalem who might have heard rumors about Jesus, and he's healed this person, and that guy was blind, and now he can see. And then there's rumors, he's coming. Jesus is coming here for the Passover in the city, and then trying to get a look at him through the crowds. And then, what's that? Is he on a donkey? He's on a donkey! Guys, he's on a donkey! He really is the king! This is amazing! Hosanna! Hooray! They're so excited by what this means that they shout out praises, and they rip off their coats, and they throw it on the floor in front of him, almost to make a royal red carpet for his entrance. As I said before, Jesus doing this was making a statement about himself. What do you think the crowd expected him to do next? What do you think a king, when I say a king, what do you think of? What do you think a king should do? Just not a rhetorical question. This is interactive. Sit on a throne. Yeah. Raise an army. David. Take over. Take over, says other David. And a palace? Establish a palace. Yep. I think that sounds good. Sorry? Make a proclamation. These are all kingly things. These are the kind of things I think if I was in the crowd, I would expect him to do next. What he actually does is not what I would expect. And even the familiar story of Palm Sunday and of Easter week, I still get so surprised by the next bit. You still want to say what happens next, Will? No? That's okay. Shall I just read it from the Bible? Jesus entered the temple. Okay, a bit of a curveball, but it makes sense. I mean, as an Israelite, I might have expected him to go to the Romans and start chucking them out, the occupied army. Or maybe King Herod, who's fat and he's greedy and he's just giving things to the Romans and not serving the Israelites. Maybe Jesus would come and throw them out instead, throw Herod out. But temple, yep, okay. No, maybe he's going to establish a new temple, build up a new temple for the Lord. I get that. What does he do? He enters the temple and began to drive out all the people buying and selling animals for sacrifice. I'm not trying to make a dramatic pause. I just lost the place in the Bible. It's hard to make a dramatic pause with Lego pictures at the front. He knocked over the tables of the money changers and the chairs of those selling doves, and he said to them, "The scriptures declare, my temple will be called a house of prayer, but you've turned it into a den of thieves." He goes to the temple to confront the den of thieves. What is a den of thieves? Let's just think for a second, because we hear this story and quite often, I think, and rightly, I think that other gospel accounts make a different emphasis on this, like in John. We think there must be something wrong with the market. They must be cheating people, or there must be a problem with selling animals in the market. So Jesus is angry at that and driving them out. But what is a den of thieves? Does thieves rob and destroy and steal in their own den? No, they retreat to the safety of their den. Does anyone have this prophecy from Jeremiah? Jeremiah 9, under their chairs. Would you be happy to read it out if I give you the mic? Oh no, Jeremiah 9. Jeremiah 9's gone hidden. That's okay, I'll read it. Sorry, it's Jeremiah 7:11. In Jeremiah, he prophesies to Israel. Do you really think you can steal, murder, lie, commit adultery, and burn incense to Baal, to other gods, and all those other new gods of yours, and then come here and stand before me in my temple and chant, "We are safe," only to go right back to all those evils again? Don't you yourselves admit that this temple, which bears my name, has become a den of thieves? Surely I see all the evils going on there. I, the Lord, have spoken. Jesus was calling out the inhabitants of the temple for the same behaviors. The Jews were using the temple as a safe haven while they abused the poor, while the powerful abused the weak, while zealots attacked the Romans, while religious leaders used scriptures like weapons to best people into submission. And then they were all still retreating to the temple, thinking that it would keep them safe and holy, and to offer sacrifice and think everything's fine and okay. But it wasn't. Now, just as an aside, we've spent a lot of time in the Old Testament, and particularly in the prophetic book of Isaiah recently as a church. And in this story, Jesus is fulfilling a lot of Isaiah language. Okay, he is the coming king, riding in triumph on a donkey, but he's also the God who hates sin, and he hates pride and hypocrisy. And he comes and he announces destruction and judgment on the lofty. The crowd got caught up in the moment, shouting Hosanna and recognizing the signs, but they hadn't put the whole jigsaw together, or they were missing certain pieces because they failed to recognize him. They wanted a king who would confront their enemies, not necessarily a king who would confront their hearts. King Jesus, riding in celebration, is happy and it's joyful and it's great, and it's great to celebrate. But are we also happy for him to start flipping tables and challenge our own comforts? For him to drive out our sin? Because the kind of Jesus who came, who flipped over the tables a few days later, went to the cross. He came in glory and in humility, humble and riding on a donkey. And he came not just to judge sin, but also to carry it on our behalf. He doesn't just demand righteousness, but he gives it to us as an act of grace. So, as a wrap-up, or as we wrap up, interactive, go with that, okay? Worship him as your king and accept what he is to give you. Grace and freedom and dealing with things and sin and uglinesses in your hearts as a gift from him. Does that sound okay?